I have with me on the broadcast Major Mohammed Ali Shah. Major, how do we now, how do we react, sir, to the comments that have been made by the German naval chief? I would like to add in here that he was making these comments in, a larger context of China. But of course, they have not been taken very well because of what's happening between Russia and Ukraine. How do we now need to react and respond?
Devika, you are bang on there. He was in a larger picture, in a larger perspective, if we see it this way. He was making this comment in terms of China particularly. And now, of course, the German ambassador, the embassy over here, they refuse to comment. Also, one more thing to be noted, one observation is Vice Admiral Kronbach's remarks on the possibility of war with China come 2 days after German Foreign Minister Annalena Baerbock held a video conferencing meeting with Chinese counterpart, the Foreign Minister Wang Yi, citing the need for close cooperation. That also was there. We should highlight that part as well, that they were actually insisting on a close cooperation as well. Now, when it regards to Ukraine and Russia, yes, Russia has, Vladimir Putin has put his troops, 1 lakh troops on the border of Ukraine and Russia. But again, when US has warned Russia against it as well, but Vladimir Putin said nothing to worry about, they will not repeat what happened in 2014 this time. So let's see, I think in the larger context, if you see, as you rightly said, he meant only pertaining to China, and it should not be seen further into it. Because the moment you see further into it, it leads to further embarrassment to the countries over there, and they refuse to comment on it. I think there was nothing wrong. There was nothing, we should see it the way he meant it exactly, Devika.
Right, absolutely. But, at the same time, Major, in Germany itself, the response of the German government has been such that the Navy chief has had to resign. So clearly, he's gone against what seems to be the largest stand that, the German government is obviously, for obvious reasons, taking on Russia and Ukraine. And somewhere the entire context of China actually got sidelined.
Absolutely. In fact, the whole intention, the whole idea behind this was about China, and nobody is supporting China, if you see. And Russia is something which the whole world actually, in fact even India for that matter, has to partner with Russia, because Russia is our biggest defense deals partner. We get so many defense deals from Russia. So whether you like it or not, one has to actually keep in good ties with Russia at the end of the day. And China is not popular at all. They only believe in bullying, and nobody will like a bully. So what he said was there was nothing wrong, and it was very drastic that the Russian government, the step that they took. In fact, he had to, he's now the former chief. Until yesterday he was the chief. So it's really sad to see that. In fact, I really urge, I don't know how far they would consider, but they should actually reconsider their decision on the naval chief just going home for a very innocent, slight remark like that.
All right, Major, before we let you go and before we wrap up this bulletin, just flipping the argument, to play the devil's advocate perhaps, even though the comment was made in the larger context of China, at the same time, the German naval chief coming and saying that all Putin wants is respect, given that Russia is creating immense pressure over a country like Ukraine. Is it correct then to, put on blinders to whatever Russia is doing with its neighbors, just because we perhaps would need, several countries would need Russia to counter China? Just flipping the argument, sir.
Right. Devika, a very good question by you. In fact, a very rational question by you. In fact, no, it is incorrect to put a blind eye to Russia's misgivings over there. It is like, if we are seeing anything wrong happen and we just put a blind eye and see the wrong happening, we are equally responsible. So US rightly so had already a couple of days back, 2 days back, warned Russia against it, and Russia has said that there's nothing to worry about. There's nothing. But Russia, they say history repeats itself, and Russia had proved it time and over again earlier also. So yes, most certainly that displeasure has to be expressed, and yes, all that Putin wants is respect. It's not just that all that he wants, it's much more to it. In fact, he even said about certain areas that they are gone. One should just forget about it. They are the history now. Come on. You cannot really put a blind eye to anything. You have to speak up. You have to speak your mind. At the same time, the way the naval chief, Vice Admiral Schonbach had spoken his mind. You are speaking your mind. I am speaking your mind, and I think speaking one's mind should be appreciated rather than being rebuked by anyone for that matter, Devika.
All right. Thank you so much, Major Mohammed Ali Shah, for joining us this morning to shed some light on developments that have taken place vis-a-vis the German naval chief.